Hello, and welcome to Recapping with Delora.
And Ashley.
Please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Recapping Podcast.
Also, rate, review, and subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast platform. We're on all the things.
We want to hear your thoughts on the movies and shows we review.
Leave us a comment on Apple Podcasts or our YouTube channel, and we will read them during the show.
Or reach out to us on social media. We love talking all things entertainment and pop culture with you.
Thank you guys so much for listening.
Thank you.
What's up, Delora? New week, new recap.
Yes, Ashley, I'm good. How are you?
I'm hanging in. This was one of my hidden gems we're about to get into, and a show that I mentioned last week. I really, really enjoyed and think it's one of the best, honestly, that I've seen in a long time in terms of just great story, great characters, leaves you with a lot of suspense and guessing, a true thriller, right? What we hoped movies like The Woman in Cabin 10 was going to be.
I know.
And fell very, very, very short. So, guys, this series you may have heard about on these internets, these interwebs, All Her Fault, 2025, available on Peacock. 8 pretty much all hour-long episodes.
Yes.
Quick summary. Marissa Irvine arrives at 1800 Crescent Hollow Road to pick up her son Milo from a play date, but the woman who answers doesn't have Milo, sparking I was about to say a woman's nightmare, but it's a parent's nightmare. This is based on a novel by Andrea Mara. Cast: Sarah Snook stars as Marissa Irvine. Succession fans rejoice.
Right.
Jake Lacey stars as Peter Irvine. Dakota Fanning stars as Jenny Kaminsky.
Mm-hmm.
Duke McLeod is Milo Irvine. Cardia Vergara is Anna Garcia. Daniel Monks is Brian Irvine. Jay Ellis is Colin Dobbs. Abby Elliott is Leah Irvine. Thomas Cockerill is Richie Kaminsky. Sophia Lillis is Carrie Finch. And Michael Pena is Detective Alcarez. All right, reviews. 79% critic score via Rotten Tomatoes, 74% audience score via Rotten Tomatoes. I'm not seeing my Google rating offhand. Delora, what is your grade for All Her Fault?
All Her Fault was definitely a ride. As I mentioned in our Headlines and Hot Topics episode, I was sad in the first episode. Sometimes with these type of shows, you kind of have to warm up and get into it and have like certain, they usually wait to the end with like a cliffhanger to get you, interested. But no, I was like, wait, what?
Off to the
Off
races.
the rip?
Yep.
Off the rip. And then the journey that you take in those 8 episodes was something. I'll give it an A. I'll give it an A.
Nice. I just found the Google score and it's a 60%. Y'all are smoking something. This is an A+ series for me. Again, I have not seen a show and it's so funny the timing of it, because I was just talking about for weeks like, y'all, I don't even have any hidden gems. Nothing's really hitting for me. This show totally came out of the blue and I binged it so hard. And it's been a while that I've watched something without a shred of disappointment. Like, I felt like they really nailed it. The pacing, the development, the twists and turns. Like, y'all did that. So it's an A+ for me. All right, spoiler alert. Let's get into it. Already talked about during the summary, Marissa showed up at this house. She thinks that a fellow parent had her son at a play date. The chain of events and discovery that something has gone terribly wrong is why I continue to know that Casey Anthony was guilty, because the sheer and complete panic of a parent to realize that your child is not where they're supposed to be and is nowhere to be found was visceral. Like, and I don't even have children.
It was unreal, Ashley. I was like, what do you mean you've never been to the house before? What do you mean you weren't sure about the number? Like, I was screaming at the TV. Like, every house that Amara's been to, I've been to and been inside at least a couple of times. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
cannot imagine just and some people are very like
Trusting.
when you have kids and you see how other people parent, it's just always very eye-opening. There are plenty of people's like, oh, I can drop my kid off, right? Okay. And they're more preoccupied with the opportunity to be away from their child that they don't take the time to make sure, hey, who are these people? What is this living environment? Like, I don't.
Yeah. And that's the word that I find myself using with Marissa was preoccupied. Like I don't think she's a bad parent. I just think she's busy. And so she didn't think too deeply about I've never met this woman for real outside of one interaction at school
One.
like a week ago. So I'm just going to believe and trust that she would randomly text me, not even pick up the phone and
Didn't
call
even hear the
me,
voice.
not hit my line, text me and say, yo, can Milo and my son have a play date? You've
That's another
never
thing.
been to the house.
There are families that I've known for years, but I would never just like, unless it was an emergency, I wouldn't just ready to be like, hey, here's a text, pick up my kid. What do I look like doing that? Like, that's crazy to me.
Girl, I don't know you. I don't know about how y'all live. I don't know your husband. I don't know anything about
Yes.
you.
We don't know if you have a random relative. Like, I need to scope out everybody. Everybody.
Again, I don't want to say when the show starts, it was hard to not blame Marissa. Let's be for real. It was hard. I was challenged to not be like this was absolutely neglect, right? How could you not have done your due diligence with your 5-year-old child to make sure that he
That's
was
another
going to be
thing.
safe?
5. It's
5.
different.
He's just learning how to read.
It'd be different if the kid was 10 and be like, all right, I vibed with this mom. Johnny's gonna just head over and then, I'll pick up 5. That's a
5 years old.
baby to me. I'm sorry.
5 years old. He was a baby. He was just learning to read. He was just learning to read. So it was hard when we start to not be looking sideways at Marissa like, yo, this is absolute neglect. But that's why I said I try to think about like she is just very busy. What we come to realize is that even though she's married, she is the primary parent, right? She is a business owner. She's super successful. Both her and her husband, Peter, are. They're like in a McMansion in Chicago, an estate, really.
That house is gorgeous, by the way.
They
Whew,
both
I've
work
loved
in
it.
finance,
Yep.
but she's a business owner, right? So she's like, I had meetings. I was just, trying to make the schedule work, but she handles all the things. Her husband, he plays with their son. That's the extent of his parenting is he plays with their son. She handles everything else, right? Because once we see a flashback to the start of the school year, we see that they have a nanny that they do employ to help with Milo, Anna. But Anna was heading out of town on a trip with her boyfriend, and they suddenly can't get a hold of her, right? It's like, girl, how convenient that the day my child goes missing, you disappear and you're on a trip. Did this immediately put up a flag for you of suspect number one?
As you know, with projects like these, everyone is guilty until proven otherwise. That's how I usually go in. I'm like, Marissa was a disappointment. This nanny, like, what do you mean you calling her all day? She's not picking up, and today is her day off, and the baby's missing. Um, Obviously, the father, because even his interaction with her, like, Like, I didn't like how he just automatically blamed her and was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." I'm like, mm,
He didn't even
oh,
know what his son was wearing that day.
listen,
He didn't know what the teacher's name was, right?
that's
Primary
crazy.
parent.
That's another thing too. Like, how do you drop your kids off and you don't know the adults in the room? Don't know their name,
Because
haven't
he
given
never
them a
dropped kids
handshake.
off. He
You
never
know, I'm
dropped his son
I'm
off.
old school. Like, let me look at somebody in the eye and be
Mm.
like, my child is with. Like,
Especially these days. I'm assuming that parents of yesteryear felt way more comfortable. Not that they always should have, because bad things still happened.
yeah,
But these days, especially, I feel like you should be extra vigilant. So it was surprising, concerning at the level of disconnect on that. And we see the difference in approaches as we start to go through the series between kind of husbands and wives of our primary couples, right? Because
yes,
again, we have Anna, who is the nanny to the Irvines, but then when she finally shows up, we realize she met the nanny to another that other couple who we thought the mom had Milo on that play date. Her name is Carrie Finch. She is the one who actually picked up Milo. And in the flashback scene, I remember immediately thinking, this white girl got something to do with it. Immediately, because you're being too helpful. What is your motive for this?
yeah. Yeah, yeah. When we got the flashback, especially with Anna talking to her, I was like, yeah, something's up, something's up.
Yeah. What do you, stranger danger, baby. I don't know you. What do you
Especially
want?
when she would feed information about her kid just to get more information about
Yeah.
Milo.
This is Jacob. Who is this? Yeah.
Right,
A setup. It
right.
felt like a setup. But Jenny and her husband, then, it's like, are we negligent? Do we have some fault in this? This was our nanny who subsequently took Milo. And we see Jenny and her husband Richie have differences in their approaches. Jenny wanted to go help, right? Her husband's like, you're gonna regret it. Don't go over there. Don't apologize. What were your thoughts? How would you have approached that situation?
I kind of agree with the husband because you don't want to claim fault for something that was completely out of your control unless I didn't trust Jenny either. Like, everyone was guilty to me until proven innocent, okay?
Oh, I was
And
absolutely looking at Jenny sideways. I was like,
sideways because I felt like she was a little bit too helpful too. Like, what do you mean you want to
yes,
go over there and help her, a grieving mom, as she trying to, muster up, especially with the person using your name,
yes,
using your name, okay?
yes.
But then when she went over there and the first thing she said was, "I'm sorry." I'm like, "Girl, do you want a lawsuit? Do you want to get sued?" Because that's what it feels like.
Yeah, I think I felt somewhere in between. Like I definitely as a human being would have felt horrible if my nanny kidnapped a fellow child, but I wouldn't have gone over I don't think I would have gone over there and tried to be her best friend subsequently. Like I would have felt very very bad, but I would think like, oh, they probably going to try to sue us or something. So I would have had like a little bit of a healthy distance I think to the situation. I might have reached out and said something. But yeah, I think they definitely had Jenny be extra helpful in the series. And so the cops think that Milo's kidnapping comes down to like a ransom demand because, again, they're both very wealthy and they both work in finance and they have access to capital. Peter receives a phone call and it seems like he's going to start doing some shady stuff by himself and not tell anybody about it. He gets a text from an unknown number, takes a call, and basically is like, "Hey, name your price. What is it going to take to like be done with this?" I felt so many feelings about Peter throughout this series. I think when this scene happened and when this started happening, I started feeling more and more like the perception of Peter is not the reality of Peter, because he
Mm.
really tried to portray like a saint when we start the series.
Yeah, Peter is an interesting character because at first glance, he's very hands on. He's very mindful of how and who he takes care of. So to find out that they live in this gorgeous house and his brother lives there, and you find out
His
that he takes care of,
disabled brother.
yes, he takes care of his sister as well. Again, wealthy family man. You make the general assumptions that, hey, you know, he's invested. But again, I didn't trust him because I didn't like how he switched on his wife so quickly after the boy went missing. And I was like, that was my first red flag. And then, as things progress, all I saw was red. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When it came to him. So
I can't say that the him having that outburst about why didn't you check the number, because honestly he said what we were all thinking. And at the time when I was watching, I was like, he literally said what I was thinking, like, girl, what
no, it
the
wasn't that he just said it. It was how he said it and how he reacted after he said it. Because it's like the acting happened when he realized that she was hurt, and then he was like, oh no, I'm so sorry, I'm just so stressed. I'm like, no, you wanted to say that, but you
mm,
were you were quick to put the mask back on, you know what I mean,
mm-hmm. Say what you
and
mean
say,
and
oh,
say
I'm
it with
so
your whole chest.
correct.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely felt that, the facade of Peter was just that as well. Like his whole nice guy, I take care of everybody, I love my family thing deteriorated for me over time. But this was the first time for me I was like, yeah, I don't know about you. Because why are you making moves? I mean, I wouldn't even care if it was behind the cop's back, but behind your wife's back. I wasn't a fan.
Yes,
Wasn't a
yes,
fan.
he was
This is a
not
very
trustworthy.
serious situation to be doing stuff alone.
But how did they phrase it? They phrased it like, oh, he just takes over, he just takes charge
He
and
takes
takes
care
care
of
of his
everybody.
people.
No, no, I didn't like
Nope.
that.
Exactly.
And then at the same time, they're battling public perception, right? Because they're about to do a press conference with the police and answer some questions. And I have to say, this press conference was vicious. And I don't feel like in reality I've seen this type of aggressiveness from the media in a case like this, outside of, like, I have in my notes JonBenet Ramsey's parents. Like, I think they really got kind of crucified in the media when everything
Yeah.
happened. But I can't
Mm-hmm.
think of it in like another case of something like this where like the media portraying them as having made this all up, and this is comes down to
Well,
money.
for me in media, Gone Girl comes to mind, and they weren't kind to him because the husband is always the guilty one, right?
Oh,
Like,
yeah. When your wife turns up missing, absolutely. But this is like usually a missing child elicits a lot of sympathy, a lot of compassion,
yeah, yeah.
right? So it was like, yeah, I can't say like with a child that outside of, again, JonBenet's parents, yeah, people, yeah, they crucified them.
Because it just went on and on and on, and like just
Still
no
unresolved.
answers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
to this day. Poor little baby. So Peter's mysterious call that he took wound up being an attempt to pay off one of the reporters, because again, the media started making it seem as if they might have made the whole thing up and that it was all for a book deal. And to your point, with Peter and Peter's character, we find out he houses and employs his brother, covers his sister, living wise. He mentions to the police that Brian wasn't born disabled, that there was an accident, and it was Leah's fault in particular. Had to make that point in his conversation. And as we move on, we realize that Anna lied to the police about knowing Carrie. She said that she didn't really know her at all. Like she just had seen her around. Girl, they was friends. They would take the boys to get milkshakes together weekly. I felt conflicted about Anna because as this woman of color in this very affluent white community, I did understand the idea of like I could get in trouble. I wouldn't have the fallback that some of these other people would have. But at the same
Mhm.
time, like this is crucial information.
I was terribly disappointed in her to that point. This is crucial information. A 5-year-old child is missing, and you decided what? To lie that you knew that girl? Like that was so upsetting. But again, I was relieved when she showed up, right? And realized that she had left her phone. That was the reason why she wasn't picking up. But other than that, poor choices. Maybe you can blame it on, whether or not she's, worried, whether, I hate to say this, but the immigration conversation,
Mm-hmm.
um, and then also youth. But I feel like we blame a lot of things on youth, but there are people who had common sense at that age.
She definitely has common sense. And I just think she made a series of poor decisions to your point, even with just allowing the level of access she did with Carrie. And she was really trying to cover her ass with that. Because as we finally at the end of episode 1 get a glimpse of Milo, he's fine. He's good actually. He's with Carrie and she is attempting to be in disguise. She's got a wig, a dark wig. She's put in contacts, but she's taking good care of Milo. You know, he thinks they're on vacation. Do you feel like she looked that different to be unrecognizable?
No, but you know, she was definitely, I would have given her a double take because of, again, like her hair was different and she was wearing contacts. Um, I did appreciate having those flashes of how Milo was doing because I was sick to my stomach too. I'm like, I hope this baby is okay. I hope this
Yeah.
baby is still alive. I hope, people aren't doing anything crazy to him. So,
Mm.
um,
Yeah, because when
I was
Marissa said the thing
surprised.
about like sex trafficking and stuff, it was like, oof.
Exactly. And so I thought that was very interesting that they decided to do that for the series because of course we've watched plenty of these type of theory thrillers and the babies don't make it and you just find out at the end or whatever. You know what I mean?
Mm. Or
Lovely Bones.
they're like
Remember that?
in imminent danger. Yes, I read the Lovely Bones book
Oh,
first and then watched the film.
but
The
how
book
they
was
did that
heartbreaking.
interpretation
Yeah,
visually,
the book broke my heart even more than the
I can
movie
only
did.
imagine. I can
Yeah.
only imagine.
To
Yeah.
hear her commentary from the afterlife, you know, it was a lot. But I also will say that this series made me realize like I don't ever want a nanny because they ran their mouths like faucets. Like why y'all talk about the security
Listen.
I have, how much money I didn't like any of this conversation that they were having
And again, they just thought they were chit chatting, but it's like, you don't know who you're talking
at
to.
all. Plotting on you. Plotting on you. Carrie is not working solo. There is a man that she brought around when she met Anna and Milo at the Chicago Marathon, and this is likely her potential accomplice. Police have to track all of this stuff down. So the police are working. They're working behind the scenes at all times in this series. A real ransom call finally does come in, but it's just to Peter yet again. And he's told not to mention this to anybody else. I started having severe doubts about Colin, the only black man in this series, unfortunately, because Colin has a gambling problem. He's a gambling addict. And it seems like he's doing some shady shit with the business that he's in with Marissa, because Colin is her best friend and business partner. We see him on a call instructing a team member to use funds from Leah's account to offset another one. I was like, Colin, black man, why?
It was so funny because I was like, oh, this is one of these series where everyone is guilty of something.
Mm, great call out. Yes.
Everyone,
No one's innocent.
no one is without above reproach, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And I mean, even Marissa, even though at the end of the day she was like an angel compared to everyone else, but black man with a gambling problem with rich people money, rich white people money. I'm like, sir, do you want to live? That's what I was thinking.
I also, sorry to be shady, I was like, this is Jay's real reality. Sorry.
Ooh. Oh,
Jay
yes.
Ellis.
Yep. Yep.
It's probably more realistic than Insecure ever was for the
Did
life he
not,
lives.
right?
Yeah, but damn, that was upsetting to me. I was like, come on, bro.
And
Keep your nose
let's keep
clean.
it 1000. I'm we're business degree ladies. Um what do you mean you're my best friend? I still went into business with you even though you have a gambling problem. Not I.
Not
No,
just that, but to me, and I was gonna ask this a little later, but we can talk about it now. They ain't feel like best friends to me.
they did not. I feel like everybody was dry, frankly. Like everyone was in everyone's orbit. But if anything, the most genuine connection out of the gaggle of girlies, everybody would be Jenny and Marissa.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. They're a little Glinda Elphaba, if you ask me, as far as kind of some one sidedness, but absolutely.
Interesting.
Yeah, we'll get to it. We'll get to
Okay.
it. Let's talk about Jenny a little bit more. She scored a huge client at work, something she's really been working on. She works in publishing, she's a marketing executive, she loves her job, and it's a prestigious client that she's been working to land. But instead of being able to go home and pop champagne with her husband, Richie, she is left with the mess he made in the kitchen. I've talked to some ladies about this series, and they have struggled with the marriage dynamics between these characters. Like, I literally heard one lady say on a podcast, don't watch this with your significant other because it'll make you feel some type of way. I think some people had a more visceral reaction to some of the marriage dynamics than they even did to Milo being missing.
Listen, you know, I know girlfriends who've been in predicaments like that, um, where the dude was just selfish. It's like, what the F are you doing, sir? We are a family. We work together. It's a partnership. It's parenting. And he was so busy worried about when he was going to get some me time. What?
This man eventually said, just because I have a kid, I don't feel like that means I shouldn't be able to still be me. I didn't sign up to become a different person. What?
And the thing that pissed me off, especially if people from the woman's perspective, if they decide to carry a child, it's like, I've been a mom day one, sir. Like, what do you mean you didn't sign up? I
You
couldn't
ain't
eat.
done shit.
I couldn't eat turkey meat. Like, I couldn't eat salami because I was being a mother. I had to change for this child. So, what are you talking about? And then, I love everyone's profession. But I'm like, sir, you are one busy teacher. I'm not saying teachers aren't that busy, but the way he was acting, I thought he was a CEO.
Girl, the fact that he even said he get off of work at 4. I said, what school is that? You ain't working till 4? What
Don't get me
school?
wrong. I do know teachers work way before, way after with the tests and the gradings and all this and that.
Yeah, but
But
you ain't
sir,
just getting home.
but my point is this: when it comes to his job versus her job, she has to commute into the city, take multiple modes of transportation, and you, sir, are in town with our child, and I have to leave downtown Chicago, take a train, get in a car, drive to wherever this school is because you were busy?
Again, primary parent, right? Her husband couldn't even deal with their son while she had a meeting without him having to text her and call her because he was fussy, didn't know where something was, wanted her for bedtime.
What they call it, weaponized incompetence. My husband is
Yeah,
not like that. And if he were, I don't know if I would still be married. Honestly, that's why a lot of women are getting divorced. A lot of women are getting divorced because
because who wants to be a single
they,
parent in a marriage?
who wants to be a single parent? Or for some men are so needy that it feels like a third child if they have two kids.
Yep, yep. Mm. So the cops are able to get footage of the man that Carrie met with at the marathon, and he somehow has a connection to the woman whose house Marissa went to start the series. We see him with Milo, and I have to say about, again, the experience that Milo is having is that I'm so happy he was young enough and trusting enough of Carrie to not be scared or traumatized by the experience he was having.
Yeah,
Like, he really did just think this was play in a vacation. And he was fine. And that was one of the biggest, like, I think that made this more enjoyable for me, is that he was okay. It wasn't trauma.
I agree. And again, to your point, with him being so young, it it may not even stick when he gets
Let's hope.
older.
Like, it'll have to
Yeah,
be something they tell him happened, not something he remembers happening.
right.
He'll just be like, "Oh yeah, I remember when I went off with the nanny," but not like, "Baby, you were kidnapped." So the cops decide to release a picture of Carrie's accomplice. His name is Kyle Smith. The lady at the beginning of the series is his foster mother, and she does come forward to the police and let them know. I love the moment when Detective Alvarez breaks the news to Marissa and mentions that Kyle knew that she was going to have the worst day of her life, and yet he rather sent her to the most loving person that he knew. Because I was like, what a mind fuck that would be. Like, so you're telling me these people took my kid and yet they had the heart to send me to a wonderful human being to help take care of me. What does this mean?
What does it mean? What does it mean? And shout out to the lady, because I remember in the first episode the way that she was like, "Okay, I see you stressed. Let's just go. Come on in." I thought that was very
She's
kind of
someone to have
her.
in a crisis. That lady
Yes,
is somebody
yes.
to have in a crisis. She
Because that
took
would not have been my
charge.
first thought. Because I would have been like, "Okay, let's figure this out, ma'am." But yeah, I have to say this detective was very. I appreciated his perspective on things, because I'm like, I would not have pointed that out at all.
Exactly. And I feel like in general, he had a great, like, he was very attuned to everything that was happening, even though he had his own ish that was going on in his personal life, right? Like, we
Yes.
see his relationship with his family and his son who has special needs, and they're trying to get him into this special school to really take care of him. And one of the staff basically tells him, like, yo, there's one spot, and in order to get this spot, you gonna need to use your powers of persuasion as a cop and clear up a drug charge that the dean's son is dealing with right now. There's evidence, right? It hasn't been processed yet, right? He originally tells the person basically like fuck off, but he changes his mind later in order to help his son. What would you have done if you were in the detective's shoes, you think?
I mean, I don't know. Obviously, full of integrity. Absolutely not. How dare you even ask me?
There are shades of gray in this thing that we call life.
It really
And
is. It really is. And, you know,
did he kill somebody?
he
Nah.
did not. He swapped out Tylenol.
He swapped out some pills.
I just feel like, it's hard. I hadn't had to deal with it. I pray I don't have to deal with nothing like that. But sometimes people do what they got to do. And what is law anyway? You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know why City High song. What would you do if your son was at home crying all alone on the bedroom floor because he's hungry? And the
hungry
only
and
way to feed him is to sleep with a man for a little bit of money and his daddy's gone. So, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. You know
I
what I
was going to
mean?
say, I was like, law is arbitrary anyway. Like, man-made laws can be changed. They change them for their own benefit anyway.
Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. And Detective Alvarez was a stand-up human being. But in this one instance, do I think that to get my son the best possible care, I'm gonna go ahead and throw some Tylenol in the bag? Probably. I'm not even gonna hold y'all. Probably.
Throw it in a bag. So here's the deal.
Cause that kid probably is gonna do something else stupid in the future anyway.
And he gonna get caught.
Exactly.
And there's gonna be some consequences and repercussions.
Exactly.
What I will say is this, Ashley. I feel like at the end of the day, you got to do what you got to do, as I mentioned before. And as long as he can go to sleep at night, the only person who's going to judge him, is God. And if that's just one of his marks, I guess it's just be one of his marks.
Listen, I feel like God's more understanding than some people give him credit for. Clearly, he puts up with all y'all shit on a regular basis. So I think he'll be all right. But back to the case. Kyle went to prison for 6 years for a drug offense himself. Had one visitor right before his release. Guess who? Miss Carrie. After a tip from a gas station employee, the detectives discover the rental home they've been staying at, blood on the floor, and inevitably Kyle's body in the lake. Gunshot wound to the back of the head. Is Carrie a killer?
That's where I started getting nervous because I'm like, bodies are popping up now? Like, excuse me, what is going on?
Got very real, very fast.
Very fast. And I felt sorry for the young man. We haven't gotten there yet, but I hate to say it, but as you're going through the story, of course, that empathy isn't there, but it's just, well, it wasn't he. I guess he wasn't the mastermind. I guess that's what.
Well, yeah, you just wonder like what could have happened. Was it the release now of him being out in media that would have propelled
right.
You know what I mean? It was just kind of like
right.
What happened that suddenly, he would become disposable.
Exactly.
Was the question at this point. And we also get a revelation on the timeline of events and how Carrie first interacted or came to interact with Milo, because a stuffed toy was also discovered and It was Mr. Chips. And somehow It was in Carrie's possession, even though it had gone missing months before at a trip that only the core 5 in the circle attended. So this cast out on literally everybody. And again, I know we've been talking about the fact that everybody was kind of in question to begin with, but it went back to me. I was like, it's Colin, bro. I was like, Colin, what did you do?
So at that point, I did think it was Colin, but I was giving all the adults in the room the side eye. Especially the fact that it went back that far. Like, it's easy to blame, like, oh, nanny took him. At that point, I don't think she was nanny for the other boy that long.
She was
right?
not. She had not become a nanny at all yet.
Right. And so for that to be the case, it's like, oh, this is going deep. Who's sleeping with who? That was my first thought. I'm like, it's always the sex. It's always sex in these crimes.
I really started to despise Peter because when he told Jenny to leave and took over cleaning the couch, something that Marissa really wanted to do to like keep her mind occupied, and even just his response to Jenny was like, you know, I've apologized to Marissa 100 times, but I've never said it to you. And he said, I'm going to I'm working to try to forgive you and stuff. I'm like, Peter, you got some nerve. Like, you got some nerve at this point. This is somebody your wife is leaning on. We already now know the timeline of events. It really was not like this woman had been plotting before she got hired. So Jenny, there's no way Jenny could have known. Like, it just
I
made me
do get
really,
where he was coming from though, because he was like, this is fresh.
nah, I didn't, because I felt like it was selfish. Like, I felt like
Mm-hmm.
as much as he tries to pretend that he's there for you, he had this was comfort for Marissa. You're taking the comfort your wife had away from her for your own selfish needs or whatever. And then when you have the interview question about what's your favorite thing about Milo? And his response is that it's when Milo has a nightmare and he's able to come in and hold his hand. I found that so deeply disturbing as a character. I was like, you are sick. Like, this is like, there's something within you that is not okay. And at this point, I couldn't tell exactly what. I was like, maybe it's the trauma from your childhood. But
Right.
you are not okay. If you need people to
Yeah.
rely on you this much, I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if you got Milo kidnapped just so you could come to the rescue because you're fucked up.
Yeah, no, at this point of the story, I didn't trust him at all. I didn't trust his motivations. Um, and part of it was just all these secret conversations he would do without his wife. I'm like, you both have lost your child. Why are you doing all of these things independently? And to the Jenny point, I like I said, I did understand what he meant, where it's like, I know you're clear, but it's still fresh. So I don't know if I can look at you for too long. But I just felt like it was another example of him just taking over and not even consulting his wife.
Yes.
That really, really bothered me.
Yes. Absolutely. So Colin reveals he and Leah have been seeing each other, which makes the whole moving her money into an account outside of her own even more
Shady
sinister.
girl.
But they're both addicts. Like, I've already said that Colin is a gambling addict. Leah is also, pills. That's her vice. So Peter makes a big to do of, yo, I don't think this is encouraged for y'all to date each other. And if there were cracks before in the facade of Peter, this shit turns into a sinkhole, right? Like,
So can we also talk about how like nobody had chemistry? Like
you don't
like
feel like
Colin,
Leah and Colin seem like they would
girl,
be together.
no, no. And I didn't like Leah either because I felt like she acted way younger than what she really was.
Intentionally so.
Yes.
She has been stunted
Yes.
in her development because
Yes.
she has been made to feel guilty about her brother Brian's accident when he was 4 and she was 6, right? It's kind of been held
Right.
over her head her whole life. But baby, one of the scene of all scenes in this series, Brian's drunk ass comes wheeling into that house, baby. And he's ready to tear the whole thing down because even though they're about to have this TV interview, he said, fuck it and fuck you, Peter. Peter had a day off that corresponded with Carrie. So it cast doubt about where he was, what he was up to. Turns out he had gone and met with a doctor about a potential spinal operation for Brian, but he had told Brian that he was ineligible. Lies. Brian was absolutely eligible for that spinal operation. And girl, if you're thinking in the show, oh, that's awful. What an awful thing to do to your brother.
Horrific. Yeah.
Even worse is the big reveal that Brian's childhood accident was never Leah's fault. It was Peter's fault.
Yeah.
He tripped this little boy in jest, in play. He was 10, he was just a child, but he has been lying about it their entire lives.
Yeah, I knew he was capable of evil at this point.
Bro.
First of all, the way they kept bringing up the story of the childhood thing, I figured that out. I did figure. I was like, oh, Peter did that shit, and he just never told anybody, and and he gets like this random thrill of having essentially his siblings underneath his thumb. He's controlling them, and I think even on top,
and he thinks they love it. He told them, he was like, "You love this."
And again, this is why talk about like just seeing red constantly. It's like all these secret conversations on the phone, all these secret dates that you went missing that you decided not to tell your wife where you were freaking going, even lying to your own brother about that surgery. And I think the thing that was most sinister in his relationship, especially with his brother, is that he was so controlling. He wanted his brother to use his crutch over the wheelchair because he didn't like seeing him in the wheelchair.
Even though his brother was in constant pain when he attempted to walk on that crutch.
I was like, what?
And the pain meds he had to take as a result made him nauseous, made him drowsy.
Right. Oh, but take them anyway, buddy.
I'll be here. Go ahead. You can go ahead and lay down. I'll be here. I put in my notes in
it's a
caps,
God complex.
Hate him. Hate him. Not dislike him. Not feel bad for him. Hate him. Because again, he is psychologically disturbed.
Dangerous. And what was a good signal of that is when they were both supposed to sleep train this baby and he still never lifted a finger. And then he gives her a kiss and be like, oh, you did it. Oh, great
You're
job.
amazing. You can do anything.
And you know what? I actually did give Peter in the beginning a little bit of grace. Because I was like, oh, I didn't know how dependent his siblings were to him. So maybe it was like that thing of, I raised my siblings. I don't want to do this again, but I love you. You know what I mean? We'll have this baby.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
He's a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde type of person. Yes. And that's terrifying to me. Like the dark secrets he keeps within himself, and yet the sainthood he tries to portray. Even when Colin gets into it with him about the way he treats Leah, he's like, you can't take care of people and not fall in love with them. And I've tried to do everything I can for my siblings and this and that. And, I was just like, it's so scary to me that you can say these things and know the truth in your heart of what you've done and who you really are, right? That's terrifying to me. So at this point I was like, throw Peter in the garbage because he's a terrible human being. Thankfully, Lil Milo is found in an abandoned car and taken to the police station. Again, totally unharmed outside of some hair dye. He is his usual little self when they reunite with him. He asks his mom, why is your face wet? And she's like, baby, when I tell you I would have been bawling. She held it together more than me. I would have been ugly crying if you reunite me with my child who I thought was lost, maybe dead or severely injured. Ugly, bawling mess. So thank God Lil Milo is okay. And not only that, go ahead.
But I just thought it was so funny because I'm just like, so the thing about these type of shows too is I don't know how intentional it is, but it's hilarious. So you're just sitting up here and you see this baby boy pop up from the trunk and be like, I'm home. What was that transition like? You know what I mean?
Who
Like,
actually took him to the police station and all of that.
yes, yes.
We're a good citizen. We're just made to believe it's just a good citizen who
Got there in one
inevitably got
piece.
him. Yeah. And he's good. He's able to identify the motel in which he was staying, and the cops go and find yet another body, another man potentially killed by Carrie. So now Carrie may be a serial killer, right? And as wealthy as they seem to be, for them to have their child returned with a potential serial killer on the loose, why are y'all only installing security cameras? Why didn't the police have a
Well,
detail outside their house?
what also was interesting was, you know, Jenny claimed that the nanny wasn't violent. So I'm like, all these bodies popping up, like this
Piling
isn't
up, baby.
doesn't sound like, you know,
I mean, I think it's clear to us as audience members that we can't trust Jenny's judgment about Carrie.
anything.
You
Yeah.
didn't know that girl, that she could have ever done this in the first place, was what I think all of us in the audience were thinking. But sounds good, Jenny, that you want to believe that. You don't know her. So let's go back to Jenny's marriage for just a minute because,
This was I think I was more
bro,
pissed at this than the kidnapping.
again, this has been a lot of women's sentiment about the series. When I tell y'all Richie was trash, this man lied about an after school program, Quizzix, that he was allegedly involved in. We find him in the car in a parking lot scrolling on his fucking phone eating junk food. When she rolls up, he had the
Giggling.
audacity to say to her, you know, if you think about it, this is a good thing because it forced you to show up more at home. Delora, let's have a toast to my DIVORCE because get out of here.
Unreal.
Divorce.
Unreal. I'm like sitting in his car on social media. Unreal, Ashley. And again, I don't want to demean his professor, but I'm like, you're a teacher. You want her to stay home. How is this working? Like, is this a private school? Like, I don't understand.
He
Y'all got a
told
really nice
her,
house.
he
Y'all can
told
afford a
her
nanny.
having a career made things harder. That's what he told her. Because she said, you don't support me in what I do. You make it hard for me to do it. Well, because it makes it harder. You doing these, me having a job I'm passionate about that pays these bills makes life harder for you.
Right. Right.
Garbage, baby. Garbage. I said, Richie, if you weren't cute, she would have left your ass a long time ago.
Well, that's the thing though. I was like, he probably got away with so much because of how he looked.
Yes.
And but it's like trash ass partner.
Woo.
Like what is he good for? What is he good for?
Woof. And when Jenny said, you know, I'll never let that happen where Jacob hates you, but when he gets older, he's going to know why this happened and he's never going to treat a woman the way that you treated me. I wish every woman who's ever found herself in this position could make that statement and could have that quote because absolutely. I intimately know a household where a woman does everything. Everything.
I I think we all know somebody. And again, what's the point when you can't even depend on your
That's,
partner to help you out? Like I
that's why I
with
say
a
with
child
all,
that is both 50-50 of you.
yeah, that's why I say with all due respect and a bit of disrespect, I don't need a husband, I need a wife.
Right.
Cause
Can you imagine?
that's where that's the win right there. That's the win.
That's funny.
All right. The investigation of this additional dead man leads the cops back to Kyle's hometown, where they also are able to tie the connection between Carrie, whose real name is Josie, Josephine, to this new dead man. His name is Rob Murphy. He is Carrie's father.
I knew that lady knew something about
Girl,
Carrie.
absolutely. She got on that bus and said, "Josie, what you up to now?" Da 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 da.
Yeah. But I mean, I figured she knew something with the way she was just like blowing off the cops. I'm like, I feel like she knows something. And then when she said the whole Josie thing, I was like, I knew it. I knew it.
Absolutely. That's her mama. That's her mama. Also connected to Rob Murphy is Colin. Like I said, I was so upset. Rob was his bookie. Colin had relapsed with gambling and was defrauding he and Marissa's company, put his house on
Crazy.
the market to repay the debt. Girl, Carrie's ass, again, why did all y'all have security cameras? Carrie's ass shows up at the Irvine's house with a gun. Okay? Cue the inevitable flashback that we've all been waiting for to get the full backstory of what happened. 6 years prior, Carrie is pregnant and excited about her baby. Kyle is her boyfriend slash baby daddy. The reason why he got arrested for selling drugs, he was trying to get money. They didn't have any. They were living in a trailer park and anticipating this child. They were teenagers
You
trying
know
to
what I
support
didn't
themselves.
grasp? I didn't grasp how young she was, being
16.
16 years old. I was like,
16.
what?
Baby.
Why aren't you in school?
Where are your parents?
Exactly.
All the questions. We seemingly are led to believe she loses the baby and has to move back in with her mother, and she is not okay. That this broke my heart actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
She
It
kills
was rough.
herself on social media like
Yeah.
RIP. I'm gone. And tells her mom, "You can have me now. I'm dead anyway." Eventually, she starts doing some illegal ish with her father. And Colin is the reason that Carrie got a chance to meet Milo. She was with her
Of course he
father
is. Yeah.
that Easter weekend and runs into Milo playing outside. But what she notes is that there is a unique way that they both think and process their senses, right? They are
Mm-hmm.
able to see and hear certain things and have it taste a certain way, a certain word associated with a certain color, different things like that. And so she notes this, and we just see her start plotting, right? She starts looking on Facebook. She starts coming around. She's seeing where they live. She gets the nanny job. And in the real series of events, it's not Carrie who kills Kyle, it's Carrie's daddy, because he's the one who tries to blackmail Peter. And then Peter comes, kills him. So Carrie is not a serial killer out here. She was
Not at
not
all.
collecting bodies. It was a series of unfortunate events with the men that are around in this situation. And Peter is the one who left Milo in the trunk in that parking lot. Girl, and the twist of all twists in this series, Carrie is not just some crazy, obsessed woman with grief from losing her baby. Milo is her child. Okay? I
Insane.
was on the
Insane.
floor.
I was like, how? How? I was like, I was like, did Marissa and adopt this baby? Like,
Girl,
how did Milo get in their possession? Was it some weird, crazy, rich payoff thing? Because like she was a teen, like were they supposed to pay her off or something like that?
the
Like
series
it.
did this so well.
I was so mind blown. I was
So
like,
well.
and it was so funny because you talked about the flashback, and we love a flashback, but I was a little bit hesitant going into it because I'm like, what are you trying to make this kidnapper a sympathetic character? Like, what are you doing here? I don't care about her losing her baby. Like, you know what I mean?
Little did we know, baby. She is
Little
the
did we know.
ultimate victim. She tries to actually share an audio clip in present day with Marissa, and Peter shoots and kills her.
She
Colin,
did that shit on
unfortunately,
purpose.
oh, absolutely. And Marissa is very well aware. Colin, unfortunately, accidentally got killed by Carrie in this scenario as well. Had to kill the one black character.
I was pissed off at that. I was
Yeah.
like, how convenient. I was like, the only black character in this
Yeah.
entire cast. I don't think a black woman spoke. The detective is a man of color. But
Anna is a woman of color, but the one black character, dead.
and I was like, how are they gonna let her get away with this?
They did
Because again,
not. They did
right.
not. And as if Peter could be any worse. You asked how they got the child in their possession. There was a car accident between the Irvines and Carrie as they were both driving home with their babies, newborns. Peter swaps the babies after realizing that their son had passed away.
This was diabolical.
When I tell y'all, Peter is one of the most villainous villains I have seen in a
Who's
very long
like,
time.
oh no, a baby is crying. Let me go ahead and pick this up while my actual child, like, did he even mourn the loss of his own child?
He tried to say, I didn't even know a pain like that existed. And yet, your thought about it is, let me fill that gap with someone else's baby. Let me put my deceased child in the other car seat of the other car while my wife is unconscious, the other driver is unconscious. And once the ambulance gets here, I'm going to claim this other baby as my own. Even when Marissa finally listens to that audio, which, by the way, I thought he was going to kill Marissa. I thought he was about to throw her ass down them steps. I said, Marissa, why are you talking to him and telling him what happened?
She was going to be thrown, or I thought she was going to be savvy enough to throw him down the steps, but
something. Them steps felt lethal. They felt
did.
lethal.
That whole scene was pretty tense for sure.
But he tells Marissa, like, basically, like, I saved all of us. We gave this baby a better life than whatever. She was a single woman with a baby. How could she give him the life we could give him? And we had lost our baby. We deserved this baby, and this baby deserved us.
Savior complex. It's like
psychotic. He's psychotic.
Talk about a reframe.
Girl, that's the story of his life. That is the story of his life.
Oh,
and what is Marissa to do with this information? Right now, she's stuck. Because it's like, well, if I tell the police the truth, then I'm going to lose Milo because Milo's not my son. So what am I supposed to do? She goes and talks to Jenny. She's like, Jenny, yo, let me unburden myself and help me like figure out how me plot and plan what's going to happen. She said, what else can I do? I can't go to the police. I said, my first watch, I said, murder. Kill that motherfucker. Murder.
Oh, that was easy.
187.
That was easy. That, and, you know, to Jenny's point, I'm like, that is your son. Don't be acting brand new. Like, yes, you understand the parentage, but that is your baby.
Well, also that baby would be an orphan now because both his mama and his daddy are dead.
Both of his parents are gone.
Yeah. So what I didn't mention is that Peter has a deadly soy allergy, right? It's talked about multiple times throughout this series. We're all mindful of it. We're all aware.
Ashley, he was entirely too reckless of a villainous person to have the easiest allergy out here. He must have thought he was invincible.
Let me just go ahead and get some bread and throw it in your throat one time. Like,
what makes I was floored,
girl,
on like how he literally walked around this planet just like torturing people and acting like everything is okay. Why didn't this happen sooner? That's all I gotta say.
Because no one knew how dangerous he really was. But once it was recognized, Marissa said, all right, gotta go. She ingested soy at Colin's funeral, kissed him passionately, And when we say deadly, this man immediately went into anaphylactic shock, basically.
Immediately.
He's like, where's my
Immediately.
EpiPen? Bro, she had put an expired EpiPen in his jacket. That didn't work. Damn, what's going on? Hey, Leah, hurry up. Go get the emergency one out the car. It's not there. Literally, Peter's realizing with his dying breath, he was like, yo, you always had an emergency bag. She was like, you're right. I do. I manage your allergy. Yo. To be able to like look that motherfucker in the eye while he's dying and he knows what you did, that had to be a little bit satisfying. I'm not gonna lie. Because again, he's an awful, awful human being.
Yeah.
So I also put in my notes, I said to give him like the kiss of death, that's very mafia boss of her. You know what I mean?
Easy.
Very
Easy.
Godfather.
And I was satisfied to see that she actually did have a backbone, because honestly, the only way to get rid of him was to get rid of him. Because when I tell you,
187.
who knows what he would have done to her? He has systematically done something to everyone within his circle.
Absolutely. He was never going to. I mean, the fact that he was even at the funeral, at Colin's funeral, trying to guilt Leah about her being the reason that Colin inevitably died.
You are the reason we are all wearing black is insane to me.
So Leah got the final fuck you because she had a chance to cast suspicion on Marissa about Peter's death with the cops, but she didn't. She was like, yo, I ain't see Marissa check them labels.
Anything.
Yeah, because she knows. She's like, my brother was terrible.
Right.
And I even liked her monologue of like, there's still a lot I don't understand. There's still a lot I'm trying to understand, but I'm not going to throw somebody under the bus just because it may make me feel better. She knew, like, there had to be a reason. If Marissa did do this, there had to be a very, very good reason. So can't blame her. And Detective Alcarez, he figured out the whole thing. But he was like, the case is closed. Like, I'm going to go ahead and let this go. Don't worry about it.
So happy that he was like, you know what?
Case closed.
I know what happened. But we're all gonna, and I think that was the only reason why we saw him do the thing he did for his son.
Yes.
To show like
that he's shades of gray in his morality.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yep.
Because once he showed up to that school, he was like, I'm glad we did this.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be here. I'm glad you're here.
And I think, again, being a parent as well, and as a character and understanding like the empathy that he had and the circumstances he found himself in just gave him so much more empathy towards Marissa and understanding about that relationship, and also inevitably what it seemed like Peter must have done. So yeah, I mean, Marissa and Jenny are able to live happily ever after together. To your point, they did have the most genuine relationship in the show, but I will say during my second watch in particular, I did feel a bit like they had Jenny kissing her ass a little bit too much for me. Like, I understand this person is going through a lot, but for instance, Marissa said something like, oh, you know, I think you may become my new best friend, da 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 da. And, you know, you see Jenny kind of like eager, like, yeah, that'd be great. I would love that. Like, girl, I'm here for you and I'm helping you, but I don't need you. Like, thank you, but I got my life and my ish too. I'm a shoulder, but I feel like Marissa got a lot more out of that friendship than we saw Jenny get, which is why I gave kind of the Elphaba Glinda comparison to take it back to our microdose of Wicked for Good. Jenny definitely is the Elphaba of the situation in the sense that she was just the shoulder. She gave Marissa a lot throughout the series to help her.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't think it was that much of, Jenny being a kiss, as I just felt like she was just very mindful of the sensitive time, because honestly, it's only been 27 days out for like the whole series. So I think she was just giving her some time to grieve and process it. I don't, I like to think that their relationship wouldn't continue on that path.
I hope not as well. I hope there's more even keel with their friendship moving forward. Because again, this is
honestly, it might
unbelievable
be
circumstances.
Because sis is getting divorced. One is a widow. There was
They
this
might as well
guy.
just had them live together,
I was gonna
honestly.
say there was this guy who did this study, or was speaking to a study like about like the lonely epidemic, and how men's best friends are like literally their wives, whereas women have other women friendships. And he was like, when women become widows, they're actually fine, if not better off than men who may lose their wives, because women have that community. And so I just say that to say they're going to be spending a bunch of time together anyway, because they
They'll
have
be
had
good.
major life experience, life changes. So
Yeah, they're going to be good. Who is your MVP of the series?
the house, I thought the house was gorgeous. That
Okay.
kitchen with
Okay.
those like teal color cabinets and the bronze gold features. The fact that they had like like a space for his brother and a space like in that garage. I'm like, wow, this is a beautiful home.
It was.
How about you? Who's your MVP?
Detective Alcaraz for sure.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
that man was very, very good at his job.
he
Like,
was.
have to give it to Michael Pena. I
He
also
did a great
like there was
job.
another detective, but I don't even think about him. I only think
No,
about Detective
he was kind of
Alcaraz.
cute though. The other
Sure,
detective.
he was fine, but Detective Alcaraz was day one, game one on
Yeah,
it.
absolutely.
Absolutely my MVP. Moral of the story: some husbands suck. Moral of the story for me: some husbands suck.
Crazy.
Any final thoughts for this recap of All Her Fault?
It was a ride. Like everyone was guilty. And to finally see how everything unfolded, I did not figure out everything. Which I'm glad I didn't. Obviously, that's what made this series so great. But the red herring is the freaking title of the actual series. All her fault. Who's her? Who's she? Who?
It's all he's. It's all he's.
And because of that title, I did feel guilty looking at all the women at one point. Although, still, side eyeing Colin, side eyeing Peter for sure. But I was like, Jenny just too nice. Like, what is she all about? Like, you know what I mean? And I'm like, is Marissa acting enough for me in terms of a grieving mother? Like, like
Mm-hmm.
I literally was. I if anything, the one person who was probably least on my list would probably be Leah, because what would be her motivation? Like her
Yeah.
motivation would have to be like outrageous for that to be.
Well, her and Brian. Like, I don't think I
Yeah,
ever suspected either of them actually had anything to do with anything, but that they just might have been goofy in some way that allowed something to happen.
right. And then when it came to Colin, um, my theories around him was solely around his gambling, in that um he's orchestrated the baby to be kidnapped so he can get some funds to fill the hole that he created within the business accounts.
Yeah, I'm glad it wasn't anything quite that sinister. But my final thoughts again, yo, this was a great ride. I want more of this in television land. Please
Yeah.
continue this. This was great content.
Mm-hmm.
Just great
It's
content.
exciting when you get good content, you know what I
And then it's
mean?
also heartbreaking when it's over. I'm like, damn, what now?
Yeah.
The Beast in Me was the next one I watched after this because it was a suggestion of someone in the comments under a post about All Her Fault. So thank you for that. I did enjoy that series as well on Netflix. Not as thrilling as this one necessarily, but still very good. So any other recommendations y'all have in this lane that we have not watched, please drop those in the comments somewhere to us. I would love to get into another really good thriller show. I actually think thrillers are probably my favorite genre for real. All right, that's it. That's all. All Her Fault. Check it out if you haven't seen it. Peacock. Delora, let's get into hidden gems. What you got for the week?
Yes, I have 3 hidden gems this week. All right, the first one is a new rom com available on Netflix, and it's a K drama. This is actually my first K drama where they do not have an English dub. So I'm reading the English subtitles while they speak in their native language. So no, this is my first K drama without my training wheels, essentially, and it is freaking hilarious. It's silly, it's goofy, it's um pretty dramatic for what it is. It's essentially about a young woman who hasn't been able to do much in her career. Honestly, she's a bit of a disappointment to her friends and family because she hasn't been able to pass her exams that's needed for her to, like, get a good job and make good money and support her family. Um, a lot of that is out of mourning the loss of her father. But in any case, she goes to this retreat to see, I think it was an old school reunion. Her ex is there with his new girlfriend, and she runs into this high powered young man who has his own business who wants to court her ex, and they pretend to be, a couple. There's a kiss. It's called Dynamite Kiss. Um, the thing about him is he never wants to be in a relationship because he's, there, it's tiresome. He's only about his career. And the thing about this show is it does this turn that no one expects. They have this dynamic kiss, they go on a date, they make this connection, but she has to run away because her mom gets sick. And then they magically meet again in a corporate space where she has to lie about being a mother and a wife, and she's working for him, and he's like, oh my goodness, you're the girl that got away, but what do you mean you're married with a kid? And she's like, yes, I'm married with a kid, but I really like you. She doesn't say this to him, but she has to pretend to be that so she can get this job because that was the only way that she was going to get a good opportunity to pay for her mother's medical bills. So it is a lot of craziness and insanity. 7 episodes are available on Netflix. I think it's going to be a total of like 12 episodes. It's so cute and a lot of fun. So my second hidden gem is a book. It is book 2 for the very, very popular Quicksilver book, which is a romantasy series that came out last year. It was actually one of my favorite books last year. This is the follow-up, and the adventure continues. We have Kingfisher. We have what's that girl's name? Sierra. Forgive me for not remember her name. And Onyx, and it was really good. Shout out to Aaliyah. We read it, talked about it, lots of fun. Corin is Bay. And then my final hidden gem is a motivational book. It is The 5 Types of Wealth, a transformative guide to design your dream life. What I really like about it is he has these pillars of wealth, and he just does a really good job breaking down how to look at your life in a full picture. I actually read another book earlier this year called The 8 Forms of Wealth. Oh no, it's called Wealth Money Can't Buy, and it breaks it down in 8 pillars. But what I like about this book in particular is he really gives tangible ways of managing your money, of designing your career and prioritizing your focus and showing up in the workplace, as well as talk about the benefits of family and owning your time. So, and he also talks about wellness, and he gives some really great guidelines in that regard as well. So very, very good. Highly recommend. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Ashley.
All right. So I don't have hidden gems this week, but I do just want to say that I have watched some things that are older that I had just never seen before. For some reason, I was in this 70s, 80s mood over the weekend. I watched Baby Boom, I watched Mr. Mom, and then that led me to watching two films of this like 70s, 80s era that are more classics that I just hadn't seen. Kramer versus Kramer, Meryl Streep and Dustin Hoffman, Academy Award winning film for them. Had
I
never
never
seen
saw
it.
that. I
Film
never
about
saw it.
divorce and a child custody battle for them. Going down the rabbit hole, though, Dustin Hoffman apparently was not nice to Meryl Streep during this filming. There was a scene where he slapped her that was not, that was a surprise to her. He was verbally like didn't treat her well just to like keep up with the
What?
character type vibe. He was also, I guess he said, subsequently going through a divorce. And so he kind of took it out on her as a part of this. So that made me look at Dustin Hoffman sideways, which I've never done before.
No, never.
He really had harsh words from him at one point, but said all is now forgiven. So yeah, take that. But the movie itself, it was just interesting to see, right? Like the dynamics between the sexes, because it's really more so from his perspective than hers. And so I found it interesting just as like a time capsule of some things from like the 70s, late 70s, early 80s. I think it was 1979. Then Bull Durham is the other one that I watched. This is baseball movie. Kevin Costner, before, some of the other ones, you had Bull
Mhm.
Durham. This is him and Susan Sarandon. Susan Sarandon, this is the film she met Tim Robbins on. Okay.
Oh yeah, that's a long time
Yeah.
affair. Yeah.
So interesting to me. I love a good sports movie. And this is just one that I had not seen. When I think of Kevin Costner with sports movies, I think of like Tin Cup and some of these other ones he's done over the years. And I just had not watched this.
I
So
always think of Dancing with the Wolves when I think of girls.
okay. So I enjoyed seeing something new that I had not
Yeah.
seen before. That's like of a generation that I knew these movies were out there and existed, but I just had not watched it. So both of those were just interesting to kind of sink my teeth into. I watched it on the Roku channel because they were available, and I'll probably continue because I just find that era just interesting. So anyway, that's it. That's all. We'll get out of here. It's been a long one. Guys, please let us know your thoughts about All Her Fault. Again, would love to hear it. Would love to hear any other recommendations you have. We'll be back with more in headlines and hot topics. But in the meantime, as always, be blessed.
Bye.